What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Onell Elliott. This is Onell Media, and you are awesome. So today I just wanted to get into the iPhone 13, and I would like to start off with the things that matter to the video content creators, because that's why we're here, baby, the video content creators. So let's talk about the iPhone 13. Alright. Now, Apple has added to an already incredible week for content creators. They have just announced the iPhone 13. This is not the iPhone 13, it is the 12, but very similar in the looks. The thing is, the sauce is in the lens. So, I want to start out by talking about the things that matter the most to us content creators. Gonna start off with the A15 chip, and that means faster processing. Yes, we're going to have faster processing, but then I get into the side of why couldn't we stay uniform with the Pro series, which is the iPad Pro, and couldn't we have used the M1 chip? I mean, is it really that much of a jump to have the M1 chip and the Pro? That's something to think about, and as a creator, I always want to have the most power possible. So it would have been nice to get that M1 chip at least in the Pro models, not the basic models, but you live, you learn, you get Apple taxed. The next thing that I want to talk about is the wide angle lens. Not just the regular wide angle lens, but the ultra wide angle lens. And the ultra wide angle lens is supposed to reveal more detail and the darker elements of the picture or video that you take. All that registers to me is that you are going to have better low light performance, and I would really appreciate, and as most of you guys who have used the iPhone of the last batch of iPhones that came out, the ultra wide camera wasn't all that good in low light situations. So with you saying that it reveals more of the darker areas in the pictures and photos and video, I am thinking it must be having better low light performance, which is great. Now, the superstar of the 3-camera setup is the regular wide angle lens. Now, this lens is supposed to capture 47% more light than last year's model. That is a lot of light. Now, using the iPhone 12, in my mind, that says to me, I am going to be getting bokeh. I'm going to be getting shallow depth of field, because with the camera on the iPhone 12 not being able to use the software to blur the background like it does in the photos, we needed all the bokeh that we could get naturally from the lens. So if you're letting 47% more light in, that aperture has to be wider, right? I didn't see exactly what the aperture is, but it has to be wider if it's letting in more light, and that automatically equals more shallow depth of field. But we're going to come back to that a little bit later, because they have a new feature that actually helps with shallow depth of field. The sensor shift optical image stabilization. What does that mean? It literally just means improved stabilization when you're handheld shooting. That's it. Improved from last year. Everything is brand new. That's how Apple says that things are, but really they're adding just better stabilization. And this is, from what I understand, physical stabilization. It is not using the actual software, but it is using the sensor to get this stabilization, which is better stabilization, because you don't necessarily have to cut in to the image to get that stabilization. Now, the most attractive thing to me as a content creator that Apple has introduced this year on the new iPhone is the cinematic mode. Yes, this year Apple has a mode in which you can take your video, you can shoot it. You can shoot it however you want to shoot it, with everything in focus. It doesn't matter, because what you can do is rack focus in post with the iPhone to create shallow depth of field, which means you can actually switch focus from one subject to another. that was not previously implemented in the iPhones before. You could only get that software blurry background with photos. But this is a complete and total game changer if it works properly. Now, we do know that Apple loves putting 100 on 10, and things look like they work a lot better than they actually work in the real world. But I cannot wait to get my hands on this phone because I am really excited to see that I could change focus and rack that focus back and forth between subjects. You can't even do that with professional DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. There's cinema cameras that cannot do this in post. This is just game changing. It shows just how far that the software has really come with these phones. And I am so excited. I'm so excited. It's really just an amazing thing to be able to see all of this going on, because there was a point in time where your phone was not even thought of. Now that we talked about the cinematic mode, you still have the Dolby Vision HDR, which essentially gives you a log profile that you can edit, and you could get more cinematic footage with that edit from the log. You could have more information in the highlights and the lows. If you know anything about filmmaking, you know how log profiles are actually used to save data. That added with being able to change the focus, just mind-blowing. Now, for me, the biggest uncertainty of the iPhone this year isn't actually the features. It would be, which iPhone am I going to be using? Because I got the iPhone 12 Pro Max thinking that it would be my third camera in my lineup, because I already have the FX3 and I have the A7 III, which I use for most of my photos and video. I thought that the iPhone would become my go-to vlogging camera, but then I ended up getting the Sony ZV-1. And good old trusty Sony ZV-1 took that third spot from the iPhone, which means the ZV-1 is extremely pocketable. I have it right over here, guys. This is the ZV-1, and when I put it up with my iPhone, very similar in size. It's actually shorter, a little bit more pocketable. I don't mind the bulge either way it goes. So now, with that, I also put it behind my GoPro because I don't want, look at this phone. This phone is very beautiful, okay? Very beautiful. And I would hate to damage this phone. So anything that would be tricky, instead of using my phone, I am going to opt out and use my GoPro. So essentially, that pushes my iPhone behind 4 other cameras. I really never use my iPhone unless I have absolutely nothing else. There are very few times where I don't have anything else with me because of how small the ZV-1 is, and I just go to throw the GoPro everywhere. Like, I just throw it in the glove box, on a seat, hand it to my daughter to play around with. It's everywhere that I go, and I have extra batteries, so it's like a crash cam, really. So with that, I don't want to carry around this big phone anymore. I really don't. The Mini is looking more and more feasible for me because now they have the attachments with the batteries that you could just attach to the back, and that would help me with my battery life, wireless charging, with that always on the back of the phone. I think that'll be the way to go for me because I don't use my iPhone enough to justify, or even, I have humongous hands. Like, I could hold this one-handed and maneuver it one-handed, but it just feels bulky and clunky. And if I'm not using it to its full potential, I'd rather not have it. So, guys, fellow creators, tell me what you think about the iPhone 13. And if you have any suggestions of anything that I missed, go ahead and tell me down below in the comments. Also, let me know which iPhone you would be getting if you are getting an iPhone. That's always cool. Remember, like, subscribe, and ring that bell notification if you got anything from this video, any value at all. I appreciate it. Also, man, check out this playlist right here with some more reviews for certain things. This has been a wild week, I'm telling you guys. It has been crazy. I still haven't even did my review for the GoPro 10 that's getting ready to drop. So I gotta get to that, and I'm gonna let you guys get back to your day. I'll see you on the next one. As usual, peace. I love you guys.